Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the MikeyT MMA show. Unfortunately, I have to do this off of my phone again because laptop, webcam not working, microphone that I bought a few months back not working. A lot of technical difficulties over here, but the good news is not only do I have a ticket, not only does Chris Jericho have a ticket, you also have a ticket because this ticket is free. All you got to do is like, comment, subscribe to the MikeyT MMA show. Follow me on Twitter at MikeyT MMA, Facebook MikeyT MMA show, or podcast, one or the other. I haven't decided. I think we're going show. Sounds a little bit more official. We'll see. But the main thing I want to talk about today, and to be honest, I wasn't even going to make this video. Was a bit disappointed in the fights last night. Not in the fighters themselves. There were a lot of great performances. A lot of guys who surprised me. A lot of ladies who surprised me for sure. But the big thing was I don't want to say just incompetence, but just atrocious judging that we suffered from as fans. I mean, you hate to see, and I don't even want to say us as fans because it's really the fighter who should have won the fight who suffered. I mean, you're not only do you have to go back to the drawing board coming off a loss as far as potential contract renegotiation, but also just the pure fact of the matter is you get half the amount of money if you win, or you get half the amount of money if you lose than you would have if you had won. So if you win the fight, you get double the amount of money. And if you lose, but in reality, the majority of the fans and other fighters think you won the fight, I mean, you're drawing the short straw there. And it's like fighters can appeal these things, but it's really not even like I've been a fan of MMA since I would say 2011, 2012, and I've never heard of a fight getting reversed from an appeal. And if anybody in the comments wants to prove me wrong on that, I would love to know. I'm just saying I don't remember it happening. It very well could have. Um, but yeah, I'd love to know. So if you know, leave a comment down below. Um, but yeah, let's like I said, I didn't really want to do this because I was disappointed. But with that being said, I knew I had hyped this up a lot with the big comeback, and so I did not want to let the fans down. However many people out there that decide to watch this, I appreciate each and every one of you. So I guess more or less this will probably be a quicker video today because the overall, regardless of the judging, the looking at the card right now, it was not nearly as exciting of a card as Wednesday when I reacted to the first UFC Jacksonville. This card was also in Jacksonville, so I'll refer to this video as UFC Overeem versus Harris. Um, Overeem versus Harris is how they have it listed. Um, but yeah, like I said, not as nearly as exciting of a card, not as many finishes. The prelims were actually pretty exciting with a lot of unexpected finishes and some expected as well. But I was just very impressed. I was more impressed with the prelims than I was the main card, and a lot of that had to do with just decisions and bad judging and poor, in my opinion, refereeing, but we'll get to that one by one. Prelims, I'll just kind of go through real quick. We had several notable performances. There was a rear naked choke in the first fight by Rodrigo. Oh, goodness. How do you say this guy's name? Rodrigo Nascimento defeats Dontel Maya submission rear naked choke. 2 minutes, 2 minutes and 5 seconds into the second round. I'll be honest, I was barely paying attention to this fight, but I do remember it being a pretty impressive transition to the back. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that I remember exactly how he got there, but congratulations to Mr. Rodrigo. What I did want to talk about was Courtney Casey defeating Mara Romero Barella, submission by armbar, 1 minute or 3 minutes and 36 seconds into round number one. That was an incredible performance. And this is coming from Courtney Casey, I think DC or somebody on the commentary team. No, it wouldn't have been DC. It must have been Bisping because he was on commentary last night. Talked about how this is a lady with one of the most insane resumes at 115 pounds. She's a girl who's fought. Let's see if we can look at her record real quick. I know she's fought so many great names, like all title contenders at one point or top five, top 10 fighters. So let's look at this. So she fought Cynthia Calvia, lost a decision. She defeated Angela Hill, who we'll get to later tonight, by decision. Lost a split decision to Michelle Watterson. Lost a split decision to Felice Harrigan. I remember those two fights. You could definitely make a decision that she, won the fight, especially against Michelle Watterson, who is, like I said, one of those perennial top five in the division, top five, top 10. Let's keep going. She lost a decision to Claudia Gadelha, defeated Jessica Aguilar, actually choked out or submitted Randa Marcos by armbar. So yeah, this is a girl who went out there and had one of the best performances of her career. I mean, you look at a lot of these fights that she's had, the losses she's had, they've been decisions, and like I said, a lot of them she was in the fight, and then she goes out in this fight against Romero Barella, who, if I'm not mistaken, is a lady who has some pretty well versed grappling skills herself. But she went out there and caught her with an armbar early in the fight. I mean, first round, and it was very impressive how she did it. If I remember correctly, it was she kind of ended up in her guard on the bottom, and she threw up attacking one arm. And I don't remember exactly how it happened, but basically, as Mara went to stand up, she switched the arm. Courtney switched the arm that she was using to hyperextend with, right as Mara was distracted with the upward motion, and just, I mean, almost instantly the arm hyperextended, and it looked like a very, very painful submission. And I was very impressed to see that from a lady in Courtney Casey, who had yet to have her big win. Well, I guess you could say her win over Angela Hill was a big win for sure. But yeah, this is definitely, I would say, the most dominant performance of her career, getting the armbar early into round one. And my goodness, like I said earlier, the prelims tonight were so much more exciting than the main card. This featherweight match between Nate Landwehr, who was a guy I'd never heard of before, but apparently he's from Clarksville, Tennessee, versus Darren Elkins. And I mean, I'm not sure if any of you guys know who Darren Elkins is, but he is one of the most, I mean, just the definition of a true warrior in the sport of MMA. I was talking last night to my roommate about the performance that Elkins put on against Mirsad Bektik, where it was a very similar situation to this. It was 2 rounds of Elkins getting his butt kicked. I mean, let's just plain and simple, just face covered in blood. He looked, for all my WWE fans out there, he looked like Kane. He had the mask of blood, almost, you know, just to the point where it's like, a fan, you're not a normal fan of the sport. You're like, why are they not stopping this fight? But this is the kind of heart that this guy Darren Elkins has. So pretty much Nate Landwehr comes out and I mean, just bombs on him. I mean, it was another fight that I was, half in, half out, as far as paying attention to. But I mean, once I saw Darren Elkins get split open, I think it was a cut right above his eyebrow, or not above his eyebrow, but forehead, and it was just right in the middle, and it's just pouring blood, just like it was against Mirsad Bektik. Also looked like he was wearing the Kane mask, just a horrifying, or truly horrifying sight. But yet here we found ourselves again in the third round, and Darren Elkins is still firing back. I mean, I'd argue he even won the third round just with blood just pouring out of his face. Like I said, Darren Elkins is a true warrior. Always going to be a fan of that guy. I can tell you, even though he is from the same state as me, I wasn't super impressed with Mr. Landwehr's post-fight interview. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, but hey, maybe I'm the sensitive one. Who really knows? We'll just keep going real quick through a couple other ones. Giga Giga defeats Erwin Rivera. Gosh, I hate that I can't pronounce these guys' names, but they're so difficult. I promise that's something I'm going to work out. I believe Giga, if I'm correct, is the guy who came over from Glory, who is just a fantastic striker. Just pretty much used that fantastic striking on display, getting 30-26 and two 30-27s for the unanimous decision. Over Erwin Rivera. Kevin Holland defeats Anthony Hernandez by TKO, knees and punches. 39 seconds into round one. Man, that was impressive. I had actually gotten up to go to the bathroom, and I just hear Bisping and Felder or whoever else was on commentary last night screaming, and I was like, had to run back really quick. And it was like, I was like, oh, I got plenty of time to go to the bathroom real quick. And I mean, 39 seconds into round one, Kevin Holland had Anthony Hernandez out of there. And, props to him. I had actually never seen either of these two gentlemen fight. I think maybe Kevin Holland was a Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series guy. Not too sure, but like I said, we're going to try to make this video kind of short today. But yeah, congratulations to Mr. Holland. Fantastic performance with the early knockout in round one. Next up, the main event of the prelims, Miguel Baeza defeats Matt Brown by TKO with punches 18 seconds into round two. And this was hard to watch for me. I actually picked Matt Brown to win the fight, and I think that was my heart speaking a little bit more louder than my brain. Because Matt Brown is just such a legend of the sport. You want to see that guy win. You want to see him put on performances like he put on against Diego Sanchez. You want to see him put on performances like he put on Eric Silva. And, after seeing that Diego Sanchez fight a couple years ago, it kind of made me think that, he could, still put out those performances against guys that are, might be 7-0 like Baeza, but only their first or second fight in the UFC. That's a big step up for your eighth or ninth fight, whatever it was before Baeza came in tonight against Matt Brown. But I'm looking at Matt Brown's record right now, and he also, I forgot about this, December 14th. December 14th, 2019, at UFC 245, he KO'd Ben Saunders with elbows and punches. Matt Brown was out here at, how old is he? He is 39, almost 40 years of age, still serving up ass whoopings and slicing folks up. And, I thought he could maybe humble the young, and I won't even say cocky, rookie, and he wasn't even a rookie because it was his second UFC fight. But to take on Matt Brown, even a 39-year-old Matt Brown, in your first UFC or second UFC fight, and to get the job done, get him out of there early in the second round like that, that's a pretty incredible performance, if you ask me. So definitely a fighter to keep your eye on. What is his name? Matt Baeza. Miguel Baeza, I apologize. Miguel Baeza defeating Matt Brown. Hard to watch, but this kind of set up the mood for the rest of the card, unfortunately, because right after this, Song Yadong defeats Marlon Vera. Unanimous decision. 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. Oh, this was bad. This was really bad judging. I actually pulled up the fight app that I use. It's just a little game, basically making picks. There's no money betting or anything. It's called Verdict MMA. And what they'll do after a controversial decision is they will release what the fans voted for round by round. Basically, how the app works is you predict the winner of the fight. You give a winner a round and a method of victory, and then you judge. You score the fights round by round. So you get bonus points for submitting. Your score for the round before the fight is over. And that's how they use to see what the global scoreboard is like as far as how the fans judge the fight. And so the fans in this fight is pretty overwhelming. Not, it's kind of hard to explain this, but there was so if you average it out, uh, between 10-9, what the fans voted. Round one, Yadong got 9.68. Marlon Vera got 9.36. So clearly, the fans thought Yadong won round one. Round two is where it starts to get funny. Yadong 9.31 was his average, and Vera jumps up to 9.72. So most of the fans gave Vera that 10-9 second round. And round three was just ridiculous. It's 9.07 for Marlon Vera and 9.07 for Yadong and 9.92 for Marlon Vera. And they scored this fight for Song Yadong. And I hate seeing it because it's like, yeah, he's a talented up and coming prospect from a market that they want to tap into. And that obviously, I'm not saying that there's any type of shenanigans going on with the judging. I think more or less what it is just a general level of incompetence of what they're looking at. I mean, I don't want to offend. We have a gym coach down here in Memphis who does judging for UFC fights. He was one of the judges for uh, McGregor Diaz 2. David Mullins. No, not David Mullins. Anyways, I'm sorry. I apologize. I can't remember his name right now, but he's the one of the guys over at Mullins MMA. Um, and his son JT is a good friend of mine, or his son JT is a good friend of Jacob Voloshin, who is a good friend of mine. And I have heard a lot uh, about that family and how well versed they are as far as their knowledge of MMA, and I think that guys like Mr. Mullins are fantastic judges, and I maybe there's a little bit of bias there, but there's just sometimes you see these names on these judges cards that you've never heard of before, and it's like what do these guys know about judging? I mean, why is it not former fighters, former coaches, current? I mean, and I guess that would be kind of difficult too because they all have affiliations due to training partners, and so there could be some bias there. But I think there must be a better way of getting more successful results. Uh, Piper, stop that. Sorry, my dog just wants to chew on everything. I think there would be a much better way of getting more successful results um, if we put guys and girls in these judging positions that actually knew what they were talking about. Um, and I just hate to say it, it just seems more and more often we're seeing these bad decisions. I mean, this is literally the reason why boxing is so hard to watch these days because when a Canelo fights a Triple G, and no matter how hard Triple G works, if he doesn't knock out Canelo, they're going to give Canelo the decision every time. I mean, I'm down to debate, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened in both of the fights. And those were two fights I thought that Triple G won both times, and they gave them to Canelo because he's the draw. And I'm not saying that Song Yadong is some huge draw right now, but what I'm saying is that he could be for the market that the UFC is trying to target, where he is from, and it sucks seeing. I mean, it just really sucks seeing a bonus going, not a bonus, but Marlon Vera losing out on half of his pay just because of incompetent judges. I mean, I guess that's really all I got to say about that fight because the very next fight, I just got to keep going on into it, is Christophe Jocko, Eric Anders. This was a much more reasonable decision. Jocko kind of put it on him. I thought that Anders looked good. Anders is a guy who I've seen fight live before, back when he fought MV3 a few times. It's a local promotion here in Memphis. Former Alabama linebacker, on a 2009 national championship team, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and he's got a lot of power. He's got some very impressive finishes in the UFC. But I mean, he was just outmatched in this fight, going up against a guy in Christophe Jocko, who was formerly on a 4-fight winning streak before I think he lost to Jacare Souza, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and so it was a big step up in competition for Anders. And I mean, he did hold his own. A few of the judges even gave him a round. But overall, I mean, my critique on him is I just find him to be a little bit too sloppy. I find him to rely on his power a little bit too much. And I mean, you saw him against the Thiago Santos fight. Just I've never seen a man so gassed in my life. Um, Go back and watch it if you have Fight Pass, or if you ever just want to try to see if it's on YouTube before one of them have a fight coming up or something. Eric Andrews versus Thiago Santos is one of the craziest things, as far as like a human literally pushing themselves to the absolute limit and just collapsing due to exhaustion. It's kind of hard to watch, but mad respect to Andrews. He stayed in there. He toughed it out. A few judges gave him a round, but I thought Jocko deserved the decision. But unfortunately, here we go again. Dan Ige defeats Edson Barboza in a featherweight matchup. Is that right? Yeah, I guess Edson did move down to featherweight. He did look crazy on the scales. I mean, he looked like, I mean, it reminded me of seeing McGregor on the scales, just a skeleton of what he used to look like, but he looked much better and he rehydrated. I mean, he didn't look much different on fight night, as far as, I mean, Barboza's a big muscle bound guy, and he did not look that much different at featherweight, in my opinion. I'll have to go back and watch just to be sure on that. But Dan Ige defeats Edson Barboza, split decision, 29-28. 29-28, 29-28, two for Ige, one for Barboza. This was absolutely ridiculous. I don't have the striking breakdown in front of me. I could pull that up, but right now I'm going to try to see what Verdict had to say about this one. So it's same app, same scoring rules. So round one, average for Edson Barboza was a 10. Average for Ige was a 9, because Barboza dropped him in the first round. Round two, a little bit closer, 9.59 to 9.45 uh, uh, for Barboza and Ige, respectively. And then round three, Ige at 9.7, Barboza 9.24. But, I mean, that one's a little closer, but, I mean, overall, it's 28.78 for Barboza, 28.24 for Ige. I mean, that's over a half a point of difference, which means the majority of the fans thought that Edson Barboza won this fight. And I hate it for a guy like Barboza, who now I believe is on a 3-fight losing streak. Let me just check that before I'm out of line. I know he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. Let's see. Edson Barboza. Yep, now on a 3-fight losing streak after losing to Dan Ige. Paul Felder by split decision. Two split decision losses in a row that you could argue that he got robbed. And then he was obviously knocked out by Gaethje. But, I mean, even before that, he had an incredible performance against Dan Hooker, where he TKO'd him with the body shot. But before that, he got TKO'd by Kevin Lee, and then he got mauled by Khabib for 5 full rounds. So, I mean, in his last 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 fights, he's 1-5, and that is not good against Barboza, who was formerly a winner of, let's see, 4, 7 out of 2, 6 out of 2, 6-2 over his last 8 fights before he ran into Khabib, and that's just really rough. I mean, and I guess this isn't as egregious of a robbery as maybe the Yadong one, or even the Angela Hill Claudia Gadelia fight that we're about to discuss next. But regardless, it's unfortunate for everybody involved. I know Ige wanted to have a better showing for himself, and Barboza definitely wanted to get that pay. It's just a tough thing for everybody involved, and I just think we gotta find. I'm gonna keep saying this over and over again until a solution is at least discussed. I mean, or potential solution. I mean, obviously, what we're doing is not working as far as judging in MMA. Let's start coming up with ideas to how we can fix it. That's all I'm saying. So I mean, I'll move on. I'll keep going, and I'm gonna be really upset about this one too. But it's crazy that I'm upset about this because I actually I don't want to brag or anything, but I made my picks on my verdict app, and I had picked all of these guys that I am saying that lost. I picked them and was like, really excited to get the points for them. But I picked Yadong, I picked Ige, I picked uh, Gedalia. Well, Gedalia lost, but um, it's interesting that I still got a belt and she lost. But anyways, well, my point is, even though even though I wanted these fighters to win, I'm still upset because I thought that their opponent deserved to win the fight. And I think, you go out and you train. I mean, all these guys really took this fight on short notice. So, I mean, just to doing that and just everything that goes into a condensed fight cam like that, you want to get a fair shake. And I don't think that these fighters got a fair shake tonight. So, with continuing with that, Claudia de Gadelia defeats Angela Hill. Split decision 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. I mean, Angela came out there and had one of the best performances of her career. I mean, Claudia Gadelia is a perennial title challenger, two-time, maybe even three-time title challenger. Um, Piper, stop. Um, I'm sorry about that, y'all. She's so cute though. I couldn't just let her rot away in the cage while I had to record this, but she's being a little goofy over there. Um, yeah, so Angela Hill, just a great performance. She went out there, she dropped Gadelia, which I did not expect at all. I mean, Gadelia's taken some massive shots from Andrade and Jacek, and I think the only time she's been dropped was against Jacek in the first fight. And just to see that, it's a tough situation. Um, the verdict did not disagree with me either. One second. No man. No man. Um. Hey, go get in bed. Go get in bed. Verdict kind of agreed with me. Sorry about that again. So round one, Claudia Gadelia average of 10, Angela Hill average of 9. Everyone gave Claudia the first round. She dominated. This rounds 2 and 3 is the most egregious thing on the card. Claudia Gadelia averaged a 9.06, Angela Hill averaged a 9.93, which means that 93% of the fans that voted gave Angela Hill the second round. She dropped her. I mean, I don't want to say she almost finished her, but she dropped her. And then in the third round, Gadelia 9.32, Angela Hill 9.71. So, I mean, that's pretty bad if you ask me. I mean, just going off the fans' perspective, but come on, we're just fans. What do we know? I'm sure the judges know better than us. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just had to bring myself back down to some inner peace because I'm really passionate about this stuff, and I just hate seeing stuff like that. That just so unfair. And going on that, leading into the main event, talking about a rough and unfair and just all around terrible situation. Alistair Overeem defeats Walt Harris 3 minutes into round two, TKO via punches. This is a guy in Walt Harris who just lost, I think, and I'm sorry, I should be doing my research on this stuff. Is either his stepdaughter or his daughter-in-law. She was just recently passed away in a very, very tragic, just tragic accident. Well, I mean, it wasn't an accident. She was murdered, and that's just horrible for any family to have to go through. For Walt to even have the courage to step in here and put his career on the line. He's actually had some. I don't want to say put his career on the line, but he's had some big wins coming up or in the past few fights. And to fight a guy like Overeem, that's where you really propel yourself for that next level of opponent, that top five potential title shot eliminator fight. And he went out here despite all of the other stuff going on in his world, and put in the fight can, and he went out there and he dropped Overeem like quick. I mean, I don't know if it was in the first minute, but it was definitely in the first round. And I mean, like I said, I'm just a fan. I don't know nothing. He had it to the point where I thought the ref should have stepped in on 3 separate occasions and stopped the fight. And, they let it go. And what happens? Overeem, being the veteran he is, survives, gets back up, and, you know, starts catching Walt with some shots, and next thing you know, I don't remember what it was, the shot that put him down, or if it was a takedown, but next thing you know, it's just like Overeem is in full mount and just wailing on Harris, and Harris is not defending. I mean, it's several times you hear the ref saying, "Do something, Walt. Do something, Walt. Do something, Walt." And he couldn't move. I mean, and I don't know if it was he spent so much energy in the first trying to get the finish himself that when Overeem was bombing on him in full mount, and they weren't just like shots coming down fast. It was just a constant, just bap, bap, bap. From not full mount. He was in full mount, but Walt had turned and given Overeem his back. So Walt Harris was flat on the mat, face down, just getting bap, bap, bap. And eventually the rest just had to stop it because Walt wasn't doing anything. But I mean, in my opinion, it's tough for Walt because not only did everyone want to see Walt win, and didn't think that he deserved a big fight, and to see him make the most of it in the first round and do it enough, in my opinion, to get Overeem out of there. Um, to see that the ref not stop that fight, and I guess maybe I'm, like I said, maybe I'm the asshole here because what did Overeem do? He came back and he won the fight. So, I mean, obviously he wasn't out. And a lot of these guys will tell you, don't stop the fight. Justin Gaethje will be the first guy to tell you this. Do not stop the fight unless I am unconscious, because I have worked my whole life for this. I don't want to have you take this away from me. If it's going to get taken away from me, I want it to be just straight up taken. I don't want it to be uh, left up into the judge's or the referee's hand. You know what I'm saying? I want somebody to physically take my consciousness away if they're gonna beat me. And I just I'm not sure where I was going with that. I just got on a little rant there, but it's terrible what happened to Walt and his family. But I commend him for coming out here and putting on a great performance against one of the legends of our sport in Alistair Overeem. Um, and you know, I don't want to get into my conspiracy thing, but it's just like, nah, we won't even get into that. If we if we want to do an MMA conspiracy video one day, we can, but we'll save that for another day. I think with that, that's about all I got. We hit our 30 minutes. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back. Like I said, I didn't want to do this video. The card was a little underwhelming, but I made a lot of noise telling everybody I was back and I'm gonna be staying back. So I had to, come back, give you a video for last night. Um, keep this thing going. It's gonna be a couple more weeks till we get a card. So hopefully, or till we get another card. So hopefully by that time I'll have my new chair, I'll have my new webcam, and I'll have my new microphone. So the video quality will be a lot better. But either way, I think we still have a good time when we come on here. With that being said, thank you guys for coming. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on iTunes. I'm not on iTunes yet, but follow me on Spotify. Your boy on Spotify now, MikeyT MMA show. Follow me on YouTube, MikeyT MMA podcast. Follow me on Twitter. You know the rundown. Or you don't have to. That's your prerogative. But it would mean a lot if you did. With that being said, this has been another episode of the MikeyT MMA show, and we are I'm trying to make it, but I swear this shit isn't what it seems. I was born in 90.